Welcome back to the next episode of Arrakis Central. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. In this episode, we will be talking about Chani, and particularly some of the differences between Chani in the book and in the current movies. But before we get into this video, please be advised that there may be spoilers for Dune Part 2 and the upcoming Dune Messiah or Dune Part 3, which is in the works as we speak. What we do know of Chani is that she would go on to be the beloved of Paul Atreides and bear 3 children to him. Although he would never marry her, she would be his concubine, much like with Duke Leto and Lady Jessica. When we first meet her in Dune, she is traveling with Stilgar and the band of Fremen that find Paul and Lady Jessica in the desert, much like as shown in the end of Dune Part 1. One thing to point out in the movie Dune Part 2 is that Chani is portrayed as a Fedaykin warrior and somewhat of a skeptic of the Lisan al-Gaib and all the prophecies. And this is not so much in the book, as she becomes a Sayadina once Lady Jessica becomes the Reverend Mother. And she believes much more in the religious prophecies of the Fremen. And in that aspect, that part of Dune Part 2 is somewhat incorrect from the book, as in there is really no split in religious beliefs that I can remember reading between northern and southern Fremen. It's just that there was Fremen all along different places in different areas of Arrakis, but they generally all do believe that there is a coming of Lisan al-Gaib. One of the main facts or points about Chani is that her father in the book is Dr. Liet Kynes, the ecologist from the Imperium, there as a emissary or agent of the Emperor. This part of the Dune movies was totally changed, as they made Liet Kynes a woman, and then on top of that, they did not even make that Chani's mother, which would have been more acceptable. But that whole part of the movie was very skewered and changed from the book. In the book, she was much more in line and much more of a believer of the prophecies. And like I said earlier, she became Sayadina of the Fremen once Lady Jessica took the water of life and became the Reverend Mother. And in fact, in that scene in the book, Chani is actually the person who gives the water of life to Lady Jessica during that ceremony. And this was much different in the movie, where Chani and Lady Jessica have much more of a standoff relationship. But that it does exist at some instance in the book where Paul realizes that Lady Jessica doesn't feel Chani is the right fit for him, as she wants to go along with the master plan of Paul trying to wed the Princess Erlon, which that does end up happening in the movie, but it's just all come together in a different way. So that being said, I would think that Chani in the film has much more of a interesting personality, and she was much more straightforward and, in my personal opinion, somewhat more plain and I hate to say bland in the book, but she really does not play a pivotal part per se for Paul's decision making, as he is actually the one who puts the master plan together, more so than Lady Jessica in the book. And that was a different portrayal in the movie, where it had a lot more interest in Lady Jessica kind of pushing the prophecy. But in the book, it was Paul's plan all along. But moving forward, Chani would bear 3 children from Paul. Leto II, the elder, who would later be slain at the end of the first Dune book by Sardaukar infiltrators. And then later she would bear 2 more children to Paul at the end of Dune Messiah, which will end up being Ghanima, and then of course the Leto II again, which would later become the God Emperor. Another aspect of the Dune book, which was different from the film, was Chani's intimate private name of Dihaya, and it's very blunt in the movie that she hates this name. As in the book, Paul uses that name as his intimate name for her quite often in the book. So it's a quite large change from the book. But it overall was not a deal breaker for the film. But a large spoiler ahead. At the end of the book Dune Messiah, Chani will actually perish in childbirth, giving birth to Ganima and to Leto Atreides II. This was mostly due to the plot against Paul and Chani from the Reverend Mother, the Spacing Guild, and the Thalaxu, and some separatist Fremen, and a somewhat willing conspirator in Princess Erlon herself, in which she is jealous that she cannot bear children with Paul, and she was secretly feeding contraceptive chemicals to Chani to prevent her from bearing children. And this would end up leading to the birth complications and then Chani dying. The end of the Dune Messiah will be a very hard decision for Paul, as he has seen the golden path, and it actually has Chani dying, but bearing those two children. The Thalaxu will tempt Paul with reanimating or bringing back Chani as a Gola, with the use of a dwarf Gola as a messenger, but Paul would actually have Stilgar slay this person. And then in his distraughtness and his sorrow for losing Chani, he would wander aimlessly into the desert, making everyone believe he is dead and gone forever. But I understand this could be seen as spoilers for the possible Dune Part 3. But we do not know for sure what angle or changes they're going to make to that script in the story going forward. But it does have a tragic ending for Chani in the end. But in a future deep dive, we'll talk more about the future of Paul and Chani later on. But as for now, that will end that video. But remember, if you do like this content, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. And there will be more lore videos and Dune content coming soon. Thank you.